How did the most entitled person you've ever met get completely owned? About a year ago, I was at a Chick-fil-A, and at this location, they have two drive-through lanes, one for regular orders and one for mobile orders where you skip the line if you scan a QR code. I was driving into the mobile orders lane, and that's when a middle-aged woman came from the side and completely cut me off. She pulled in ahead of me and drove up to the drive-through window, but then instead of scanning a QR code like you're supposed to, she started waving her arms and yelling for an employee. The thing is, nobody monitors the mobile lanes, so after a minute of nothing, she started honking her horn immediately. An employee finally started coming over to her, but before he was even at the window, she started barking out her order. After her order, which genuinely could have rivaled Big Smoke's order by the way, she just drove off without paying. The employee had to literally leave the store and chase her down to get her payment, and when he did, she paid with a literal bag of what looked like nickels and dimes. She finally pulled up to the window, and at this point the employee at the window asked her to pull around to one of the waiting spots. She refused, however, saying, "No, it always takes longer if I pull around." The employee explained to her very patiently that pulling around won't delay her order, but it will let them serve the people behind her whose food is ready. She responded, "It's not fair to prepare their orders before mine when I was here first." The employee then tried to explain how these drive-thrus work, but she again interrupted saying, "Everyone should all be working on the first person's order. I know you're dumb and that's why you work a job like this, but this really shouldn't be that hard to understand." After what felt like forever, the manager finally appeared at the window. He leaned out and very politely asked her to pull around, even promising to personally bring her food out as soon as it's ready. To top it off, he offered her a complimentary chocolate shake as an apology for the inconvenience, and reached his hand out giving it to her. And what did she do? She slapped the shake out of his hand back towards him. The shake went flying everywhere, covering the window and drenching his clothes and his face. She even had the nerve to beep her horn at him, but then finally, karma started to take hold. A couple minutes later, two police officers walked around the front of the drive-through road coming towards her. She laughed at the manager, who was once again at the window. "You really called the police?" The manager responded, "No ma'am, they were at the counter when I walked by covered in the shake you knocked out of my hand. They also heard your shouting and honking. I even told them it was fine, but they wanted to check on the situation." At this point, the officers had reached her car. They went up to her window and told her if she doesn't pull forward and talk to them, they'll arrest her for assault and move the car themselves. She actually tried putting on her best seduction face and told the officer to come into her car so they can resolve it like adults. But the officer just told her this was the last warning. She sighed and started to pull around, but instead of stopping, she continued driving and just sped out of the lot, even hitting a curb on the way out. I saw the police laugh at her. She had a very easy-to-remember vanity plate, and they told the manager they're adding obstruction of justice when they track her down. As far as I know from one of my buddies who has ties with law enforcement, she was found and given 30 days jail time, 6 months probation, and a $350 fine.